What is concurrent modification exception? Like how do you deal with this kind of exception?
When you are trying to perform any kind of the list iteration, means like when we are trying to, once the list has been defined and we are trying to iterate it and trying to modify its size, during that time we get this concurrent modification exception, as the size has been already defined and we're trying to change that mod count. So during that time we get this exception.
So coming to like design patterns, which design patterns have you worked on?
I have used the facade design pattern, builder design pattern, adapter design pattern, singleton prototype. uh,
Okay. Tell me about builder design pattern, like where we will be using the builder design pattern.
Yeah, builder design pattern we have used is like whenever we have the email service. So email service consists of the multiple fields. So whenever there is a particular exception in the uh, particular block related to that particular service, we set only those fields to create that email service object. We use those fields and we set that into this email service, and we create that object and send it to the email service to trigger that particular email and send the notification for that service. So here those the builder service is basically like creating an object uh, with the even with the one or zero or more objects or variables, sorry.
So do you see any drawbacks with the singleton design pattern?
uh, the singleton design pattern is like uh, basically uh, it creates only one instance for the complete JVM in case of Java, but in case of the Spring per application context, uh, the thing is like based on the uh, by default even the Spring Boot uh, Spring follows the singleton design pattern itself. If
Okay.
I hope so,
Okay.
I don't mm, know most about
Uh,
the default means like drawbacks of the singleton.
so why we use a factory class to instantiate a class when we can use a new operator, right?
We will be using the factory design pattern is like if you have an interface and if there are a number of classes implementing that interface, and at the runtime we want to specify only the one single object need to be created. So during that time you will be passing this interface name, so that you will be passing the object what you are trying want to create. So it will take this name of that particular class, and at runtime it creates the object of this class instead of creating the specific one.
Okay. So web services, we have worked on RESTful web services, right?
Yes.
How did you secure your REST APIs?
Here we are using the API gateway for our services. So it internally provides us the OAuth 2 authentication. So we'll be using that OAuth 2 authentication client credentials for protecting our services.
Okay. Just tell me like how OAuth2 works, how
Means like
OAuth2 mechanism,
I did not get you. How?
how OAuth2 mechanism works. Can you tell
Yeah,
me?
here what it works like whenever you give the client credentials, what it does is like we will be having the uh, here it will be generating you the token. Means like when you pass the uh, these client credentials, it generates the token and give back to the particular client. These client should come back with this token and need to validate himself, that stating that this is the valid token which has been given by you. So once that token has been validated, then only he will be allowed to make use of the resources. Means like there will be two types like a resource authorization server and the resource server. So here with authorization server is to validate, means like whether you are a valid user or not. Resource server is used once you validated, it will give you a token. You need to go with this token to that resource server stating that it has
Okay.
been validated. So please provide the valid resources for that.
Okay. So what do you mean by idempotent?
Uh, ide-
Idempotent.
Yeah, idempotent is like here the getting of the same kind of data means like without modifying every time means like we can say the get method as idempotent because whenever we use the get method we will be getting the same kind of data instead of modifying it. But whereas the post method is a non-idempotent method because every time we'll be getting some new resource whenever we try
So,
to push the data.
so can we maintain user session in web services?
No, no, we cannot maintain the RESTful API itself is designed in a such a way that um, representation state transfer is like here there won't be any kind of session between the client and the server. We need to manually implement it in our end, like to implement this session or else any kind of cookies mechanism we need to use.
So can you use get method to create resource rather than post?
Get method is only to get the data, right? Post method is for you to pass some kind of data. Using the get method, what you can do is like you can basically pass your header parameters or query parameters, but you cannot pass your body using the get method. It's
Mm.
like there are a huge number of parameters and you want to do some kind of alteration. If you go with this get method, you need to pass all your data through the URL, which is not good to expose our data through the get method, which goes through
So
the browser.
can you tell me how to set different status code in the HTTP response?
Uh,
How can you set
yeah, here we can set the response codes whenever you complete your whenever you pass your request to the controller and your request has been processed and get back your some object, you need to create your response entity class object here, and you need to pass the object whatever you got to this response entity, and we need to specify the HTTP status code. Like if it is 200, we need to specify 200. If it is going to the exception handling block, and there you have been getting some kind of
Yeah, okay, fine. So what is the use of a @XML root element annotation? Have you used it?
Uh, at the rate XML root annotation, I did not use it because that comes under the SOAP part, right? Means like SOAP services, we be basically using that annotation to annotate that root, that is the root element of that particular object, whatever we are trying to create.
Okay. So coming to Spring MVC, you have worked, right?
Yeah, means like right now we are using the Spring Boot completely.
Yeah. So in what are the different ways we can configure a class as a Spring Bean? In how many ways?
We can use in the two ways, like we can make use of the XML or else we can make use of the annotations for configuring it.
Mm. So how can you get select context and config in a Spring Bean?
In Spring Bean.
How to get select context and config object in a Spring Bean?
Here we can make use of the uh, in the Spring Boot. What we does is like we use the arguments. Means like whenever we call this run method, you will be getting that Spring application context here. From that application context, get the we can get the servlet context of that particular thing, whatever we are performing.
Mm. Okay. So how will you handle exceptions in Spring MVC?
We can handle the exceptions even locally in the particular area where we are getting, means like if it is in this service layer or else DO layer, we can also do it in the global exception handling as well, means like creating our own uh, REST controller advice, and there we need to define all the exceptions and we need to throw them from that particular service or DO layer, and we need to handle it at that position.
Did you work on Spring AOP as well?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. So can you tell me like what is a joint point cat?
Yeah. Here, the purpose of the Spring AOP is like to perform the cross-cutting concerns. Here we have the join point is like at particular point means like where you want to perform your advice. Means like uh, means like whenever there is particular thing happened and you want to perform your logging or else from response time getting for that particular object, you specify that details to this join point. Means like there that point means like method name we specify to that. Here the point cut is the expression whatever we pass.
So coming to Spring Boot, what is the role of actuator in Spring
uh,
Boot?
the role of the actuator is like you want to get some metrics means like health information and all. We can make use of the actuators endpoints and we can get the details like CPU utilization, how many beans has been registered, like this kind of information we can get it using the actuators.
So how can you disable actuator endpoints accurate in Spring Boot?
We can make use of like specifying the management endpoints whatever we are specifying. We need to just remove all the